if anything at all, about amateur or ham radio? Perhaps you've never heard of it. Well, don't worry, because for today's Meet My Club, we're going to introduce you to the Bunya Mountains and District Amateur Radio Club. Jake Abbott is the Vice President. G'day, Jake.
G'day, how are you going?
Good, thank you. If you're explaining to someone like me, Jake, I have to admit, who doesn't know much about amateur radio, how do you explain it?
Well, amateur radio, which is also known as ham radio, like you just said, it's sort of a hobby where you can design, build, fix and test not only radio equipment but also electronics equipment that goes along with that. We commonly use it to build our own transmitters, which we can use for short and long-distance communications between fellow amateur radio operators. The long-distance communications is actually quite popular among travellers as well, to keep in contact with their home base when they travel outside of phone communications areas. And the short-distance ones we just use for talking to our fellow amateurs sort of just around our own ridges.
So is it like UHFs?
It is like UHF, but we operate on a set of private frequencies that only we get to use.
Ah, like an exclusive channel. So
Yes.
How does one gain access to the channel? You have to be part of the club, do you?
You don't have to be part of the club. You do have to undertake a short test, and we can provide training and help organising the test for one of the 3 levels of licences that you need to hold to use our radio networks.
Oh, wow. Can you give me an example of how you use it? Is it just when you guys get together?
No, it's not just when we get together. Every week there's multiple what we call nets, and they're just get-togethers on a specific radio frequency or a repeater, which they're generally located on hilltops to extend our coverage areas. So we get together on these repeaters a couple of nights a week. We get people from Dalby and Toowoomba, Warwick, all around southern Queensland. They come on just for a general chat and get together to catch up on what everyone's been doing throughout the week.
How nice. Oh, I love that you're using old school technology to do, quite a modern thing, just to say, hey, how you going? What have you been up to? Why and how did you get into, a passion for amateur radio?
Back in about 2016 or 17, I just passed my driving test and got off my learners onto my P-plates, and we were planning a big trip out to far western Queensland to see where my family grew up originally, around Stonehenge and out to as far as Betoota and down into the northern parts of South Australia. And out there, the phone coverage is really, really bad. And we had a little bit of interest in amateur radio previously, and we thought, what better time to get into it when we want to be able to do some long-distance communications back to people at home.
How cool. So could you technically communicate with people, like not just in your area but around the world even?
Yes. At specific times of the day, the radio can go quite far. We can make international contacts. We can talk to people overseas, all around the world, on certain frequencies at certain times of the days and night.
Great. So tell me a bit about your club, how many people you have involved, and is it a passion for people of all ages?
Yeah, it's a passion for people of all ages. I'm 23. I'm the youngest member of the club, and we range from my age group all the way to above 50 and 60. We have a very broad range of members. We have 15 members currently in our club, and they're from the Western, Darling Downs and South Burnett regions. We hold meetings every quarter based here in Dalby, which is our sort of hometown for the club, just to go over any club business. Yeah. We're also planning to hold technical meetings in the in-between sessions. We haven't picked a date yet, though, for people to bring along their communications equipment, whether that just be a normal UHF out of their car or something electronic that they want to know more about, sort of the in-depth side of things. We're going to hold technical meetings where they can bring these in and we can investigate and they can learn about what goes on.
What do you love about being involved with the club rather than, say, just having this passion of your own?
I love being able to connect with people of similar interest. So I can go and we can chat about all this sort of stuff. I actually do this for a job as well. So
Oh, wow.
I'm grateful that I'm able to pass some of this knowledge on to other club members and people who come in that don't really know much about it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're called the Bunya Mountains and District Amateur Radio Club. What's your connection to the Bunya Mountains? Is there infrastructure that way or...?
Yes, connection to the Bunya Mountains is primarily an infrastructure connection. Back in the early 1980s, when the club was first established, we were called the Dalby and District Amateur Radio Club. But in the early 2000s, we renamed to the Bunya Mountains and District Amateur Radio Club Incorporated. There's a bit of history that goes with the Bunya Mountains name. Back there was a bad fire at the Bunya Mountains National Park one year, and the rangers, they had very ordinary communications between their vehicles during the bushfire. So us being an amateur radio club, they got into contact with us and said, we are looking for some temporary better communications. Can you help us out?
Wow.
So we set up a repeater for them on the highest point of the Bunya Mountains temporarily for them to use. And the improvement was that great that after consideration, they decided to build a proper communications site there. And sort of as a thank you for us helping them, we got a permanent spot at the site where we have 2 repeaters and anyone licensed is welcome to use them.
Wow. Just goes to show the significance of this technology that, you know, it's great that you guys can use it as part of your club and it can be fun, but there is a real life situation, life and death situation where this technology is used. Of course, I imagine it stems back to like world wars.
Yes, it does. It does. So a lot of commercial businesses, they don't have the means to do long-distance communications if the conventional systems like mobile phones and stuff go down. Amateur radio is one of the last standing organisations that can do long-distance communications.
Oh, good on you, Jake. Tell me, do you welcome new members, and if so, what do they need? Do they need specific gear if they're getting involved, or how does that process work?
We welcome any new members. They don't need specific gear or anything to start off with. Anyone interested is welcome to come to our meetings to get a bit of a feel for what it is that we do and who we are, and to meet all our members. Once you do join, if you do become licensed, obviously then to get on air, you're going to need a radio as well. But they range second-hand ones. You can pick them up for $100, for example.
Oh, great. Thank you so much for giving us an insight into your club this week, Jake.
That's all right. No problem. Thank you for having me.
We appreciate it. Jake Abbott is the Vice President of the Bunya Mountains and District Amateur Radio Club, explaining a bit about amateur radio, but also the importance and significance of it and the bit of fun that they have at the Bunya Mountains and District Amateur Radio Club. If you have a club that you'd like us to feature as part of Meet My Club here on the ABC, send us a text 0487 993 222.
Hi, this is Craig Rucastle.